Commissars Log, day 19. Still keeping up the image that there's nothing going on. I mean, I'm still going down and meeting the cadets on the training grounds every morning. And despite the fact that I've got them going off and doing all the investigations for me, they're still managing to get better and better all the time. I'm beginning to feel proud of them. Yeah, proud of them. It's a strange feeling. Today we got lucky. One of the cadets had heard rumours of a very suspicious looking person hanging around by the west entrance of the complex. And they were described as being very short and very skinny. But there's no description of facial features. Due to the fact that they were wearing a full-length cloak with a huge hood that's covering up their entire head. So I sent a few of my cadets out to have a look, but they didn't see anything. So after they came back and reported that they couldn't find anything, I thought I'd go and have a look myself. Dressed myself up in the old guards uniform that we've been wearing so much recently. I started wandering around, finding little menial tasks to do to make it look like I was supposed to be there. After I'd been there a while, I was about to call it a day when I spotted something coming out from behind one of the huge storage containers that are kept by the entrance there. It scuttled along and headed for the nearest ladder to take it to the top of the walls. Once it had ascended, I quickly rushed after it to see if I can catch it, hoping to see what it was doing when I reached the top. Once I got to the top, I looked around to see if I could spot it, and I saw that it had headed directly towards an area that was located above the gates themselves. I slowly, carefully made my way towards it, careful to stay out of sight. And when I got close enough, I stopped to observe what it was doing. And what it was doing was definitely not something somebody on top of the wall should be doing. It reached into its robes and drew some sort of strange device out. I was too far away to tell what it was exactly, but it very quickly became obvious. It pointed it out over the walls into the wastelands beyond, and a quick succession of bright flashing lights shone out. It was sending a signal, and as soon as I realised this, I rushed out and tackled it. I threw it to the ground, I drew my gun and pulled back its hood. And what I saw, I'll never forget. It was like a creature of nightmares. His face was a writhing mass of giant maggots all clambering over each other, constantly moving to form this rudimentary shape of a head. And the stench, it was horrible. It was like a mixture of rancid meat and rotten eggs. If I wasn't in such a state of shock of what I'd seen, I would have lost the contents of my stomach there and then. It opened its mouth to reveal 2 rows of incredibly disgusting but very human looking teeth, and a black mass that I can only assume must have been a tongue. It let out a horrifying screech, which took me back completely. I wasn't expecting that, but I recovered quickly. I pointed my gun at the creature's head, but the maggots were gone, disappeared. There's no trace of them at all. All that was left was the corpse of this poor soul who looked like they'd been dead for months. I mean, and the facial features were all sunken and gone. The eyes had disappeared as well. You know, the mouldy teeth and the black massive tongue that I'd seen moments before were those of this corpse. Everything was in a normal state for a corpse at this level of deterioration. But the thing that got me was the skin. I mean, you would have thought that having all those maggots clambering all over it all the time, that it'd be basically gone. There wouldn't be much of it left, but it was untouched. These maggots weren't feeding off this body. I calmed a couple of the cadets. I got them to come over to where I was to give me a hand with moving the body. We brought it back to the barracks and locked it up inside one of the airtight storage crates that we have there. I've left it under a guard, 2-man guard, just in case. You can never be too careful. This is going too far now. I need to inform somebody of what's going on. I just don't know who. This is Commissar Turch signing off for the Emperor.